I get super excited and interrupt people in things like this. And I have a lot of conviction. I'm loud, I'm aggressive. And I understand why people would say what he just said. But the reality is I stay listening. The reason I have the insights is I basically listen all the time. I'm spending 90% of my time paying attention. The reason I jump into conversations is I value people's time. We don't have a lot of time right now. I've got to do a business call in a while. So if I already know where you're going with the point, I'm going to jump in and get to the punchline. That's my intuition. I understand that, but I know it comes across as, an interesting flow, interrupting, not listening. But I would argue that all of this is about listening. The reason I think a lot of things work well, and to answer your question, I think sometimes people hear me say something, but they're not listening. It's different than hearing you and listening, meaning, I talk all about patience and happy. People are like, Gary Vee, I just read. I read all the time. They're like, Gary Vee, you're about that money. I'm like, almost every word out of my mouth is happiness over money. Like, people are like, like people hear me, but I want people to be patient, yet, everybody wants something right now. Like they do something I tell them to do. And I tell stories about being 13 years in doing something before it popped. And meanwhile, they do it for 13 minutes and they're like, Gary Vee, why am I not verified? Why don't I have $1 million worth of brand deals?
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the recruitment process. And that was one of the things I wanted to pursue in this conversation because it relates to a lot of people who are trying to be successful. So take us through the recruitment process, not just of an athlete in Vayner Sports, but in VaynerMedia, the types of qualities you're looking for and potentially anybody you're going to sign and want to bring on board.
By the way, even why we have a friendship. I value kindness over everything. There's a lot of people that I meet, Jordan, all the time. Why have I stuck to this and why do I want to do this tonight? It's because I want to co-sign you. I want, the numbers on these, I've been asked, especially after all the incredible stuff Timbo and Swiss are doing with late night, like the entire culture of like live streams has exploded. When you're somebody who has 7.9 million followers and has a big voice in here, like people are going to constantly, ask you to do lives. I get asked for 40 fucking lives a day. I've said like yes to like 3, So
just as people know, I asked you earlier today of a conversation from last week, but today you were like, yeah, let's do it. I mean, so I want people to know that like you made it a priority.
This is my answer. Why did I say yes? It's because you're a kind kid. You work hard and you're a nice person. So that's your answer to my question, bro. The people I hire, the people that are in my inner circle. One of the things I'm always humbled by is when people get to know D-Rock or Tyler or Lou, Alex Raffington, May, like my inner circle. They're always like, man, these people are so nice.
They are.
And I'm like,
they are.
I'm like, it's the number one requirement. I'm so talented. This is such a douchey thing to say, but this is the truth. I'm talented enough that I don't need to hire people that are more talented than me. I need people who I like and who like feed my soul. And I like kindness. And of course I need complementary skills. There's plenty of things I'm not talented at, but like, I know my game. I know what I'm doing. And so for me, what do I look for? Kindness. I mean, I think AJ and I are building a very unique football firm. Like nobody wanted Kyle Allen, Jordan.
Yeah, it's true.
Kyle Allen was Michael. Nobody wanted Michael Badgley. Like I would argue when it comes to kicking and quarterbacks, you can sit right now at the NFL 2 years later and ask yourself, who's in interesting spots? Badgley's one great season away from being in the NFL for 15 years, and Kyle Allen's going to have a real legit chance to be one of the 32 starters in the NFL. These are undrafted players.
Yeah.
So like, there's a kid that went first round this year that I didn't follow up with. I just don't think he's a nice kid. Like, and I'm in a business where people look the other way because they care about money over legacy and happiness.
Okay, so when you're recruiting a kid, what's the balance between he's really talented, he could have a great career, and he's okay. He's not a bad guy. He's not great. How do you blend that together?
I think okay matters. Like, for example, weed, I don't give a fuck. Like, so that's not, to me, it's good or bad. So like, if there's no okay, like I don't go by other people's public persona. Like punching a female, not interested. By the way, you don't know this, like, just not for me. Like, and by the way, this is what's fun about living a life where you don't judge other people. I don't judge other people. I really don't. Like I'm just gonna make my decisions. That's not right for me. Like stealing from your like teammate, not interested.
Hmm.
Getting into multiple fights, not interested. Lazy's one. That's where we've been really interesting. Like there's some kids that we definitely like. We like them as a human, but we
Yeah.
think they're a hair lazy.
Hmm.
That's the one where I'll make a concession where I'm like, can I drill into their head, like stop being a lazy dick? Like like people really love to like some kids are. Jordan, I'll tell you this for all the people watching. You know what the number one thing that stunned me about sports now that I'm deeper? I was super into it. I always had friends that were athletes, but now really being into it, I didn't realize how many people don't love their sport.
Wait, you mean specifically the athlete doesn't love what they're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you know what? That's absolutely true.
Isn't that crazy?
It's
Like, because
it
all of us
is. Yeah.
dream to be a football or basketball or baseball
I
player,
know.
hockey player, whatever. Like, I have been taking aback how little some of these kids like it. It's
I
just their
know.
way to the most finances. And I respect that. There's no different than somebody being a doctor or lawyer or whatever. Like, but that completely took me aback. And that's if you ask me, the number one thing I start with is, does this kid love football? Because if he doesn't, I believe, and this is super unscientific, this is one man's point of view, I am stunned
Yeah.
how many of those kids don't make it to a second contract.
So the average career in the NFL and NBA is only 3 years. And when you think about that number, 3 years, that means by the time you're 23, 22, 24 years old, you're retired from your sport. And you don't really have a lot of money, especially in the NFL where it's not guaranteed. So what would be your message then
Well,
to these kids?
that's the biggest reason I get disappointed when kids don't go with us. There's a kid I loved at the University of Texas 3 years ago as a human, and when I sign these kids, I sign them for fucking life. You know, like I'm like I worry about
It's a whole deal.
it's a
Right.
whole deal. Like I worry about Darnay
Yeah.
Holmes in perpetuity. You know, like forever. And so like what I'm fascinated by is why people don't sign with us, every time, because what we're offering is like real life. and
Hmm.
and a lot of people, Jonathan, I'm 44, and what I like, they watch all the other agents like throw them out like garbage after they
I know.
don't, and meanwhile, like I invested $50,000 into Walter Powell's Politico app.
Training.
Like
Oh.
no training, yes,
Oh.
like with Kyle Allen we spent a ton of money. Like he was fucking Kyle Allen trained with Sam Darnold and Josh
I
Allen
know.
with
I know.
Jordan
I
Palmer.
know.
We treated him like a.
When he
Go ahead,
when
please.
he told me that, I was like, I wasn't blown away because I know it's you guys, but that's not a normal deal. It's
Normal
just
deal.
not.
Usually, if a
It's not.
quarterback's not getting drafted, his father is usually paying for the training. There's no agents paying for training, let alone the fucking guy. Jordan Palmer's training Joe Burrow this year. You know what I mean? Like this is why I think we're going to build the biggest firm in the world. It's going to take us a decade because we're not going to use our money to like use a bag to get 4 first rounders.
Right.
Like we could spend the same money in every draft by giving such big marketing advances and taking care of everybody and having 4 first rounders that were buyable. Or we could take that same money and actually invest in, Steven Montez and Cole McDonald. Like they're with Jordan too. Like
Colorado, Hawaii.
that's right. Cole goes 7th round. Steven goes UDFA to Washington, ironically, with Kyle. We are building something real. Me and AJ decided 4 years ago, if we're going to break the system the way we did with VaynerMedia, we have to break it in a way that nobody can see coming. And what that is about humanity and kindness, over delivering on economics. Josh Jackson 2 years ago goes 2nd round. Denzel Ward goes 1st round. Josh has made more marketing money, more business opportunities, more care, and we're just going to win on that. And it will take time because the way everyone picks agents by fear. Who'd you rep last year?
Yeah.
And so and we get competed against, right? Like people, like one kid decided to go in a different direction this year and he called me. He's like, bro, I love you, but like, this guy, famous guy, he's like, he just told me like, you think Gary Vee's going to give a fuck about you? And he's like, you are busy, and I'm like, and it was just an interesting conversation. And it's been a fun journey. It's been a really fun journey of figuring it out.
Have you gotten to the point yet as an agency with athletes where you mentioned it'll take a decade? Can you see the finish line and say, or not even the finish line, but can you see the ultimate success level and say, and compare it to anybody else and say, we want to be like that? Or are you breaking the mold really to be your own entity like VaynerMedia? Is the sports division gonna mirror that?
Yeah, I think it's going to mirror that. I don't want to be CAA or Athletes First or
Okay, that's what.
Wasserman
Yeah.
or Clutch, and I have a lot of respect for all those people. I want to build my own thing. I want our family to be very unique around humanity, long term. Like I want people to sign with us in 22 years because they know that we took care of a player, even though we played for 1 year and we took care of them.
Mm, yeah. I think what's real the main point that you make over and over again that you just made now, and you can say it in different ways, but it comes across to me as the same point, which is kindness, humility, work ethic. Those three pillars, if you can stay within that and have some balance, some work-life balance, you're going to have success regardless of what you do, assuming that what you're doing, to your point, is something you truly love.
And to your point, success in happiness, not maybe finances. Like you may love basketball coaching and you're never meant to be Pat Riley. You're just going to be a Division III coach, and you might just make 73,000 a year, but you're just going to really love your life, and you may not have a fucking yacht, but like you're going to be happy. And I just really think that needs to be talked about way more.
How do you think that the quarantine post-COVID, how will that manifest itself in our daily realities again, in terms of sporting events, meeting somebody, shaking their hand? What do you think the biggest changes will be for us as a society?
I think we're going to appreciate relationships more and
Mm-hmm.
treat them better. I think we're going to use technology more to stay in touch. I think you're going to go on Zooms with your buddies from high school in a way that matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that I think there's a lot of that opportunity. Are you blurry on your end, by the way?
I've been frozen for a while.
Yeah,
I
me
don't.
too. The audio, like, just keep going.
Yeah.
Because I
You
got
think it's still? You think people can still watch?
my sister just texted me blurry. Like,
All
we'll
right.
see. But I got to bounce in a few minutes anyway. So,
No problem.
and I'd love to do this again, by the way,
We
and
will.
maybe the NBA draft. I think that people are going to use technology to stay in touch more than anything
Mm.
else. Yeah. Do I think some people would be germaphobes and not engage in those activities? Yes. But what do I really think? I think most of all, I think people are going to really, really, really focus on talking to their grandmother on Zoom when they used to talking to grandma once a month on Zoom for a half an hour versus calling her, once every 3 to 7 weeks for 2 minutes. And I think that visual is going to matter. I think that's, if you ask me, the biggest thing, it's e-commerce buying and video conferencing are the two alpha winners from post-COVID.
What about? But how long until that wears off to the point where people are not so scared to
Never.
shake someone's hand?
Never.
Yeah, because
Oh,
is there a cap to that?
yeah, shaking hands. I think you'll have a 20%
Or a
decrease.
sporting event? Yeah.
Yeah, listen. I mean, we're gonna get back to those as quickly as possible. Like everybody. Like I'm gonna be devastated if I can't go to Jet games this year.
I know. Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be dead. Like I already told like like every Jets player and coach and front office person that if there's no seats, like I'm coming on the sideline and being part of I got to be there. I don't know what else to say. Like,
I understand. Yeah, I just think it's a really important point to make, given that it's like most of the time when something really drastic happens in our lives, we change and then we seem to revert back to that
we've
state of
never,
mind of what we're
look,
comfortable with.
you'll appreciate this. Airline travel is still different 20 years later.
That's interesting.
Yeah, this is not a cop car, put on their lights behind you. You got scared. You put your both hands on the wheel and you drive, the speed limit. And then an hour later you go back. This is a sustained 30, 60, 90-day behavior change. And that will get into habit.
Okay. Yeah, I know you got to go. Last question for me.
Yes.
You talked a lot about innovation, Gary, and how important it is right now during this time when we have the time to be at home and maybe think differently, approach a different side of our brains and actually enable ourselves to think creatively. So innovation-wise, is there anything that you're working on right now that you're really excited about that maybe you wouldn't have had the opportunity to do if it weren't for COVID?
I'm really building out a scalable infrastructure around video conferencing that's going to allow me to travel 30-40% less. It's a huge coup.
Mm.
It's a huge fucking coup, you know?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
let me leave you with this. I needed to get this off. I've not watched
Yeah.
1 minute of The Last Dance. Just want you to know that.
Oh, that was actually my last thing. What are we gonna
Not
make
a minute.
All right. Here's what I have to ask you if we can do this again when you
Yes.
have seen it.
Yes. I don't know if
it's fantastic.
I heard it's great. I won't watch.
Great.
I hate them with all my heart. I won't watch the Patriots documentary in 20
You
years.
told me you texted me that and I thought you were joking.
No,
I really won't watch it.
Jordan, I don't think you understand how much I hate that Bulls team. Like, that was my prime high school years. The Knicks were really
94, 99, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even back to like 92, like 93, the 93 series with the Knicks, where
because then they beat Phoenix.
Yeah, where Ewing stunned them in game 1, and we won game 1 in Chicago. I don't know if I've ever been happier still to this day. Like the Rangers and Yankees won championships for me, but winning the Patriots Jets win, the Jets winning in New England back in the day, that was number 1. But I'll tell you right now, Knicks beating the Bulls in 92, in I think it was 92 actually, in game 1 of their series in Chicago. I remember Ewing on the corner hitting a 3 late. I was so shocked. The Bulls were so unbeatable to go and win game 1. I think it was 92 because it was like Gerald Wilkins still. It was a 7-game series.
Sounds right.
Yeah, it was 92.
And they won. It was 92. Wow.
It was 92. It was a 7-game series. They got blown out in game 7, but that's when the Knicks arrived. They were, I thought they were going to get swept. Maybe we'll steal one in New York. They won game 1 in Chicago. They took them to 7 games, and that's when you kind of knew we had arrived. And the next year we really had a shot, but Charles Smith. Yeah, exactly. So
okay,
I gotta go.
Question.
Yes.
Okay, you gotta go. Okay, it's all right.
All right, I love you. I gotta go.
If you want to see another fire clip of Gary Vee coaching an entrepreneur, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.